Most real estate agents know they should be practicing what to say and objection handling every day, yet nobody does it. And one of the most common things I hear is, I don't have anybody to practice with. Well, today, that excuse is gone because I'm going to show you today how ChatGPT is going to become your role play partner 24 hours a day and at no cost to you. And by the end of this video, you're going to learn exactly how to use ChatGPT to role play every single day with no excuses, all the common objection handlers and situations you are in as a real estate agent every single day. So here's the thing. Objection handling is a skill. And like any skill, it only gets better with repetition. The problem with most objection handling is real estate agents read a script, watch a video, and try to memorize the lines. And half the time, it has nothing to do with whatever your seller or your buyer is even thinking. So let's stop memorizing YouTube video lines and scripts, and let's start practicing questions live with ChatGPT so you could become more natural in conversations instead of sounding like a robot and like everybody else. The agents who are sharp don't freeze when they hear, I need to think about it, or will you cut your commission? The good agents, they know to get curious, they know how to practice their questions and ask them, and they got the reps in. And ChatGPT makes this tool accessible to everybody, no matter if you're a brand new agent or you're 25 years in the business. So before I share my screen and get into how to do it, let me explain what we're doing here so when you see it, it actually makes sense. So obviously, ChatGPT is AI. You give it a role and you literally tell it the exact scenario that you're in. You can tell it how tough you want to make it. You could tell it the seller or buyer's disc personality, if that's what you're having trouble with, and it'll give you feedback along the way. I'm going to play with a very basic prompt. I'm going to provide the prompt in the description and in the comments below, but you'll also have it here on the screen. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your GPTs in ChatGPT and look for and download Real Estate Roleplay Partner. And what I've done is I put the prompt already in here. I want you to play a role with me. You are a home seller who is thinking about listing your home. You are skeptical, a little hesitant, and you have objections. I am the real estate agent. I want you to respond the way a real seller would. Push back, ask questions, and don't make it easy for me. After each exchange, give me a brief feedback on how I handled it and what I could improve. Start by telling me you need to think about it and when you think I got to the heart of the issue. So all you got to do is hit enter and let's begin and have some fun. So the seller says, honestly, I don't know. I think we need to think about it a little longer before deciding whether to list. We've talked to a couple of agents already, and we're not even sure if this is the right time to move. The market seems weird, rates are high, and I don't want to make a mistake. Plus, if we do sell, where are we supposed to go? Everything else is expensive too. So, yeah, I think we need to think about it. So, your turn as the agent. So, there's a lot going on here. And of course, ChatGPT will give you feedback for punctuation and spelling errors and not acknowledging. So we'll take our time here and we'll say, I totally hear you and understand where you are coming from. So they already gave us a couple objections here, right? We've already talked to a couple agents. We're not even sure if this is the right time to move. The market's weird, rates are high, and I don't want to make a mistake. So let's start off with a generic, basic, exploratory question. So let's explore the time frame. Let's talk about your time frame. Can you remind me again? Okay. That's part of the problem. We don't really have a hard timeline. Originally, we were thinking maybe something in the next 6 to 12 months, But then my wife started wondering if we should wait until next spring. And honestly, if we don't get the number we want for the house, we may stay put for another year or two. So I guess we're kind of all over the place right now. Why do you ask? Why does the timeline matter that much? All right, so let's keep digging here. Of course, it gave some feedback, good acknowledgement, and moving the conversation toward the timeline is a reasonable discovery, again, instead of jumping into a sales pitch. And that's what most agents do. They jump right into, well, this is what I can do for you without understanding what's really happening with the seller. So let's explore a little more. Let's talk a little bit more about the seller and their timeframes. All right, and let's see for our response. The seller. Well, a few things. The biggest one is that we're kind of outgrowing the house. We bought it when the kids were little, and now they're teenagers. It just feels cramped. At the same time, it's not like we hate the house. We've been here a long time. We know the neighborhood, the schools are good, and our friends are nearby. So some days we're excited about the idea of getting more space. The other days we think, why would we leave? And then when I start looking at what houses cost now, that's when I start second guessing everything, leans back. Honestly, I think that's what's making this so hard. We don't want to make a move and regret it. Okay. So good. So there's a lot of meat to unpack here. What we did well, excellent open-ended question and encouraged to tell a story rather than give a yes or a no. You're starting to get beneath the surface objections into the motivation, and the wording feels conversational. Again, here's the key, not salesy. Let's see. Right now, you've uncovered. The next step is to uncover the cost of staying. Okay, yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not rushing this, so I'm not gonna go crazy there. So, all right, so let's explore more. So, I want to know what this means. Regret it. So I'm gonna say, got it. How would you know you would regret it? Okay, so the seller says, that's a good question. They pause for a moment. See, we got them to think. I think I'd regret it if we stretched ourselves financially and then felt stressed every month. We've worked hard to get to a place where we're comfortable, and I don't want to trade that for a bigger house. I'd also regret it if we left and realized the extra space didn't actually change much. I mean, the kids are teens now. In a few years, they could be out of the house. Then what? We pay a lot more for a house that we don't even need. And honestly, I think part of me is worried if we sell this house and never be able to get back into the neighborhood. We built a life here. That's the hardest part. Wow. Okay. So, excellent follow up. Rather than arguing the concerns we explored, the question forced me to define what regret actually meant instead of speaking in vague fears, and we're uncovering the motivational risk. So, what we've uncovered, the fear of the monthly payment, the fear of the move won't be worth the disruption, and the fear of losing a beloved neighborhood and community. Absolutely. Remember, residential real estate is a very emotional thing. So, notice how we've moved a long way from I need to think about it. That's progress. So, let's see what they suggest. I'd stay with the neighborhood community concern because that's emotional. Tell me more about that. Okay. Yeah, you know what? We're actually gonna let's roll with that question. Tell me more about that. What would be the hardest about leaving this neighborhood? And let's see where that takes us. Okay, so the seller says, honestly, it's the people. We've been here almost 15 years. We know our neighbors. The kids grew up with the same families. We have friends a few doors down. It feels comfortable. When I picture moving, I don't really think about packing boxes or hiring movers. I think about losing all that. Pause. And maybe this sounds silly, but that at this stage of life, it's harder to start over. If we were in our 30s, I'd probably be excited about a new neighborhood. Now I find myself wondering whether we'd ever feel as connected anywhere else. My wife feels the same way, but they look thoughtful. As we're talking, I think that's why we've been dragging our feet. We keep telling ourselves it's about interest rates or home prices, but maybe it's really that we're not sure if the trade off is worth it. Okay, so let's see what we did well. You followed the strongest emotional thread instead of jumping back to facts. The question was simple, direct, and invited me to elaborate. And you helped me articulate something I hadn't fully admitted at the start of our conversation. So, what you've uncovered, the core issue is no longer real estate, it's lifestyle and identity, community belonging, fear of losing relationships, and fear that the new house won't compensate for what's being left behind. This is often the point where top agents stop selling and start helping clients evaluate whether a move actually serves their goals. So we got to the heart of the issue. At this point, I'd end the role play and shift into helping the seller think through the decision rather than continue to probe. You've successfully moved from a surface objection to the real concern. Okay. So let's see where we're going to go with this. Maybe I'll ask, and again, this is just an AI robot. It's not a real person. Let's play around with it. So, I totally understand. Thanks for sharing that with me. Out of curiosity, if you were to if you were to downsize in the same neighborhood so you can be close to your friends and community, would that be of interest to you? All right. So let's see how this goes. Again, it's just an AI robot. This isn't real. Maybe. Thanks for a second. I guess it would depend on what downsizing actually looks like. If you're talking about moving into a townhouse or something a lot smaller just to stay in the neighborhood, I'm not sure. Part of the reason we started thinking about moving is because we felt cramped. Oh, that's right. See that? I have to practice too. But if there was a way to stay close to the people and places we care about while getting a house that fit our next stage, I'd be at least open to looking at it. Pauses. The challenge, I don't really know if those options even exist around here. Every time I look online, I either see homes that are way more expensive than I'd want to spend or places that I feel like too much of a compromise. Looks at you. Have you actually helped people do that? Stay in the same neighborhood without dramatically increasing their monthly payment? Nice pivot. You took the emotional concern I shared and tested a possible solution rather than arguing. The question was low pressure and exploratory. You connected your suggestion directly what I said, staying near friends and family. Yes, and I did realize that they were looking to upsize, not down. Okay, so the seller says that's a fair question, but honestly, that's something I'm still trying to figure out. I know what I don't want. I don't want to double my housing payment to get a different house. Right now, we're comfortable. We could travel, put money away, help the kids when they need something, and we're not stressed about bills. If moving means adding $1,000 or $1,500 a month, that's probably a non-starter for me. Seller pauses. I think what I'd want to know is whether there's actually a realistic path where we improve our situation without sacrificing our lifestyle. They look at you. Have you run into that before? Because every time I look at the home prices, it feels like people are telling me I need to spend a lot of money to get what I want. When you are referring to a lot of money, is that monthly payment, house price, or down payment? Let's just explore. That's a good question. Thanks for a moment. I'd say the monthly payment. I mean, sure, house price matters, but if I sold this house and used the equity, the purchase price itself doesn't scare me as much. What scares me is looking at the payment every month and feeling like we just took on a burden we didn't have before. The down payment isn't really the issue. We built up a decent amount of equity over the years. For me, it comes down to this. I don't want a nicer house if it feels financially trapped. If you could show me somehow that we could stay in the area and get a home that fits us better and not completely wreck our monthly budget, I'd be willing to compromise. So, excellent clarifying question. You didn't assume what a lot of money meant. And this question helps separate three different concerns that agents often lump together. So we uncovered, looks like here, yes, the monthly payment is the highest concern, the lifestyle, community, and the home. Notice how the conversation has become very specific. You're no longer dealing with vague objections like I need to think about it. What I do next, this is where many strong agents would transition from discovery and offering value. And that's exactly where I was going to go. And let's see what they suggest. Would it be helpful if we looked at what those numbers might look like? Okay. Or if we could get clarity on whether the move is financially realistic, would that help you decide? I kind of like option 2. So I'll copy paste that. Yeah, I think it would. Seller nods because right now we're making assumptions. Every time we look online, we see the big numbers and think there's no way this works for us. But the truth is, we haven't sat down and looked what our numbers would actually be. And honestly, that's probably part of why we've been stuck. We've been going in circles between wanting more space and being afraid of what it's actually going to cost. And they look at you. If we could figure out what we'd realistically walk away with from this house and a replacement home might cost and what that would mean for our monthly payment, I'd at least know whether this is a real possibility or wishful thinking. And they smile. I don't necessarily need to be convinced to move. I just need enough information whether it makes sense to consider keeping. Wow. Okay. So I'm going to stop the role play here because you guys kind of see where I'm going with this. Do what I just did 3 times a week for 30 minutes. Promise you, you will become a different agent on the other side of that. Confidence in objection handling isn't about memorizing the magic script or the magic words. It's not about that YouTube video that you just watched and that person or trainer said this. It's about learning to connect with people, ask good questions to uncover the real motivation. If you noticed at the beginning of the call, it started about, I need to think about it, and then it turned into a monthly payment issue. You notice how they didn't start off with that. Guys, that's just human psychology. That's the way it works. So if you found this video helpful, give me a like, and I'd love to know in the comments below, how's the role play going? Have you used ChatGPT? Let me know any wins that come along with it.